Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk, a late night edition of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and DK on the bus. So, DK, riding with us on the bus. Glenn, how you doing tonight on this Thursday evening?
Doing good. My O's back in the win column. They in a shootout today. I mean, what was it, 13-10? I think was the final. Absolutely had the bats out. So yeah, it's going to be, and Lakers Warriors about to start. But most importantly, Jimbo, the moment we have been waiting a long time for.
All that pales in comparison.
It finally happened, and not only that, but the Ravens also added a veteran at a key position of need that we talked about many times on this show, which we're going to get into. But yeah, I mean, the Lamar Jackson press conference is something we've been waiting a long time for. Happy that, we got to see our quarterback back in the building, knowing that he's not going anywhere for the next 5 years is certainly exciting. So, man, it's a good day in Baltimore. And the weather was a lot better than it's been the last few days in Baltimore.
Finally, dude, I'm tired of running in my freaking rain jacket. Gosh. Yeah,
it was brutal.
Yeah, it was nice to get out there. But absolutely, I mean, there's so much to talk about in this show. I'm really looking forward to it. Just like you said, I mean, the only place we can start is with the Lamar Jackson. He's finally in the building. Yep. Oh my gosh. He's finally in the building. He shows up for the press conference, signs his contract. And it's official, man. He's here for the next 5 years. There's going to be a lot of flock going on, like Lamar Jackson said. So I'm excited. And then, of course, EDC did the interview. So there's a lot to talk about to kind of break this whole thing down. I want to get into some kind of highlights, some revelations that you had during the press conference and thoughts that came to your mind, and kind of, kick the can back and forth a little bit and talk about that. Because there's some things that raised an eyebrow for me. And then we're also, I was surprised about some other things that I was like, all right, this makes a lot of sense, but kind of want to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's no surprise that it's a love fest, right? Like it's everybody loves everyone. That's no surprise, but I got to ask you, Jimbo, because he wasn't pressed about it. Lamar Jackson wasn't pressed about the trade request that was made public as John was being interviewed at the owner meetings via Twitter. Nobody pressed. He was asked, but he said he just wants to focus on the future, and all that really doesn't matter anymore. Do you fully buy into the fact that this was, because then he went on the lounge later on and further expressed the fact that he always wanted to be here, and that was just a negotiation tactic. Do you fully buy into that Lamar Jackson always wanted to be here, had no desires, in fact, being traded, even though he made those sentiments very public on Twitter? Do you see that as just a negotiation? And look, I know this is all behind us, but I got to know, what's your take on that?
So is the question ultimately, do I think he ever actually wanted to leave?
Yes. Was that strictly and only negotiation, or did part of him, was there a dark day where negotiations weren't going well between the two sides that he may have wanted to leave?
I'm going to say there was a 48-hour period where he was like, you know what, I'm done with this. And I think Eric DaCosta spoke to just not breaking all communication, not giving up on trying to find solutions. I think Eric did a great job. Dude, Eric DaCosta, man, deserves his flowers on this deal. This was no easy deal.
All season.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Glenn, also, just to kind of, I'll come back to your question. So the answer is yes. I think there was a bit of a dark period there, but one of the things I really want to shout out Eric DaCosta for is humility. Mm-hmm. How many general managers, especially general managers with his resume, where deep down, 31 other teams, how many teams would really not hire Eric DaCosta as their GM?
It ain't many.
Right. And he is humble enough to say he's made mistakes. Not too many GMs out there do that. You listen to the interviews of some of these GMs and you're like, man, they literally think they're God's gift to humanity.
Yeah.
And it's simply not the case. So, I just want to shout out Eric for being willing and brave enough to do an inventory of what he's been doing and to continue to try and improve upon it. I think it's really cool and really exciting to see. And I think it's great things for the Ravens. But yeah, I think there were some dark days. I think ultimately there were some dark days. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, yeah, it could be, it should be probably expected when you consider the fact that Lamar Jackson was, representing himself. I think that is built in when you have a negotiation like this, that you gotta speak some truths that might hurt a little bit to hear on both sides. Lamar, I'm sure, had some pretty honest moments with Eric DaCosta, and I think what you're referring to is when Eric DaCosta recently did an interview with Mike Florio on Pro Football Talk, and he said there himself that he probably didn't do the best job at maximizing Lamar Jackson's talent on his rookie deal. Admitted that there was some, not for lack of trying, but some missteps along the way. So, it was. I kind of was interested in the fact that nobody it was one question asked about the trade,
and then that's
no
it.
follow-ups.
Yeah. Well, well, look, I'm not knocking anyone, but the last time the reporters got out of hand,
Chad Steele had to step in.
Yeah. And look, if you want to be at those meetings, you got to play nice, or else you won't get invites. Those guys, some guys at local stations that will not be named, are begging to go to these press conferences and will never be allowed.
They've just realized that fact and have now just spewing nothing but napalm in the direction of the Ravens because of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think they had to make sure they treaded lightly and didn't press. But I thought maybe one follow-up with some tactful wording, that maybe they could have gotten something done. But
yeah, I wish somebody would have asked him about the timing of the tweet.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that. It's
a good point. Yeah. Was it purely coincidental?
Yeah.
But they asked about Lamar Jackson because Eric DaCosta said that, there's occasions where his texts aren't answered, I guess. And they asked Lamar about that. And he said that he was focused on rehabbing his PCL injury. And, he was probably in the gym and he gets a lot of texts and maybe he missed it. But to the point of where he was in the gym, Jimbo, his neck has gotten wider. I mean,
yeah, he looks good.
He had a hoodie on, so you couldn't see a lot. But what you could see was his neck. The first thing my wife said was, "Oh my goodness, look at his neck." It is so it's clear he's been in the gym. And he did say he got the all clear about the PCL injury. He's all back to normal. But I wanted to ask you this. They asked him about his running ability, and they talked about both. They asked John and they asked Lamar about, does this contract mean he'll be asked to run less for John, and then for Lamar, will he run less because of the financial investment being made in him by the Ravens? Both kind of said we're going to let Lamar do his thing, and that makes him special. But what's your take on whether or not, because they can say one thing and do a very different thing? What's your take on how they'll use him after this?
I actually agree with. I don't think it was like a PC answer or just a coach speak. I think that it's true because I think that the Ravens knew what they were getting when they drafted him, and that's why they wanted him. I think they wanted the uniqueness, and they realized that that's what makes him special. So why? I'm trying to think of a good way to say this. Why cut off his face despite his... No, why cut off his nose despite his face? Isn't that how it goes?
I think that's the same.
Why throw away the baby?
How do you not know an old person saying?
I know, right? Why don't throw away the baby with the bathwater type thing?
Yeah.
Right? Because then the contract becomes less valuable because Lamar is not Lamar. If you want the contract to be valuable, well, you got to let Lamar be Lamar. All right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my whole thing is people ask about him running all the time, Jimbo. And I get it that every time he runs... he's exposed to a possible hit. I get that. But he's only ever been hurt when asked to throw the ball. I don't understand why.
Yeah, when he gets in trouble because he's holding it for too long and he's not taking off or he's not throwing it out of bounds.
Like when he's in a designed run, he never gets hit.
Yeah.
He just
I'm knocking on wood right now. Though,
yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like
it's very rare he takes a clean one.
Yeah, catching him from rolling up on him or tackling him from behind. It's not when he's running. So I still think that I hope he takes advantage of.
Now, I will say this. I don't want to see so many of the short yardage.
Yeah, between the tackles.
Like QB power stuff.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because like you said, that's when a 350 pounder rolls up on you or lands on you. Outside of that, though,
But I don't want it to be completely erased either.
No,
because
I hear
it's a
you.
valuable part of, what makes him so special is his ability to do that, and you can add more blockers ahead of him.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I agree.
Those are the runs that really scare me.
Yeah, the 8. I don't want to see another game where he has 8 to 10 runs in between the tackles.
Right.
I agree. That 100%. But let's see here. Before we get back to some of the comments here.
Is this Connor who we met at the...
I think this is Connor. Who
nice.
I still have I think I still, it's funny, I was looking through old pictures and I still have the selfie of us three sitting there. But Connor says, hey guys, do you think we'll add one more player? Oh, I absolutely think there's going to be probably more than just one. Justin Houston to me is still very much a part of this team, even though he might technically not be right this moment. I still think they'll kick the tire on other edges, maybe still flirt and see what Clowney's expectations are. I don't think they're done adding veterans to the cornerback room.
Well, Marcus Peters is gone.
But there's still Anthony Averett.
Yeah.
There's still other options who are less expensive, even though they did sign, which we're going to get into, Rock Ya-Sin. Absolutely, I think there's more players on the way.
Yeah, and talk to me, Glenn, because you've kind of been talking about Rock Ya-Sin for longer than I have. Talk to me about what you like about him, what gets you excited about the Ravens signing him. Things like that. Like, I like this presser. I've watched some highlights. I haven't watched him super in depth. What is it that you like about his game?
Well, I tell you, let me just say, he was the first, he was the number one corner for the Raiders last year. So he took on every challenge that was put ahead of him. I love the fact that he's a physical guy. He's only 26 years old, Jimbo. 26. I mean, this isn't like a guy that, is got no chance to help the Ravens down the line. While it's a 1-year deal, I fully expect this to be like Odell Beckham, and that if things are going well, we're still going to see a mid-season extension is what I'm hoping for. But he's big, he's physical, he's tough. He doesn't miss a ton of games. I'm trying to find. I had him. Here we go. Let me just click on his statistics here because I don't know him well enough. But he's 6 foot tall. He's 190. Former second-round pick. He's like I mentioned, only 26 years. He'll be 27 by the time the year starts this upcoming season. But he's just a guy who you can count on. He's a solid vet who's seen it all. He's played it and went against the best competition over the last few years. So now he's going to be asked to be a number 2. He's been asked to be Batman a lot. Now he only has to be Robin to Humphrey's Batman. And I think we know how important roles are, Jimbo. We talked about when Stanley returned to the line. Not only did it make your left tackle much better, it made every slot much better because it allowed guys to fall in their natural roles. I think that's what Rock Ya-Sin brings. He brings another solid outside corner. We don't have to take a guy who's better fit inside and now ask him to kick outside, or we don't have to ask Marlon to go inside because we don't have, we just don't have enough guys. This allows everyone to go into their roles, and I think where everyone can play at their best.
100%. I agree with you there, and that's a great analysis. I'm looking forward to it, but I don't want to go too longer without bringing up this awesome super chat here.
Oh my God!
Numra says, "Quote." This is quoting Glenn. Look at his. No, this is quoting Katie. That was quoting Glenn. Was quoting Katie. Look at his neck. Hey Glenn, what about your neck?
I
like your neck, apparently, Glenn.
All right. Always has to take it that one little step too far.
He won't ask for different angles of it, though.
Well, thank you, because Jimbo knows. I don't even like talking about this, but
yeah. Look, don't even.
I got a long neck. Okay. It's been something I've taught. When I played sports, I played basketball. It's been mentioned. Okay. So I'm a little self-conscious about it, all right? But why am I?
But I don't understand. What does this mean? Do you know? Scovens?
I don't know what Scovens mean. Scovens.
Yeah, I'm not cool enough.
I hope I'm not saying something horrible and not smart enough to even understand. Normally DK can help us with this, but
yeah.
I have no idea. But Lamar Jackson is a Raven. Yeah, I'm down for that. Yeah, that sounds good. No doubt. Let me quick couple shout outs. What's up, Gideon? What's going on, Tanja Bowman? Appreciate you coming out. Don C, as always. Adam78. Thanks for jumping out here. I saw Ing Raven in the chat. Appreciate it, Ing. Yeah, shout out to him and who was it that had Lamar?
The
On?
Wonder Kid show. The Wonder
Nitro.
Kid show.
Yeah.
Nitro. Yeah.
They both had Lamar on. So, yeah, shout out.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
You know, it's certainly helpful. They're in Florida.
Yeah, it's nice. It's absolutely nice. That's awesome, man. Shout out to them, dude.
Yeah.
Did you just put this up on purpose, or did DK put this up?
DK put that up. That was not me. But shout to Katie. Thank you, my love. Thank you. Number says no slurs in there, just some sort of slang. So cool.
All right, fair enough. Now, I want to go back to this interview though, because one thing I want to talk about is you kind of touched on it, but Lamar answered it in saying, even with the non-exclusive tag, excuse me, he wasn't really interested in entertaining other teams.
Yeah.
But we also heard of reports of his business partner reaching out to other teams.
Yeah.
So do you, once again, was it 100% leverage? Was it just, I got to assume that it was at this point, right?
Yeah, I think so. I believe what he's saying. And I know everyone's going to say that what he's saying, but I truly believe that he wanted to stay here and that he thought that this was the best tactic negotiation wise to get things moving along and hopefully, get him something that he was adamant about, wanting in the language of the contract. I really believe and look, people are going to say, oh, you're a homer. Why would he not want to stay here? Like when you look at the community, the way the community has responded to Lamar Jackson since he's been here, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, nobody moves the crowd. Nobody moves the fan base like Lamar Jackson. They just don't, especially with the youth. I mean, it's just, it's really crazy to see the way kids act. I'm a Joe Flacco guy. Joe Flacco did not make the kids respond half as much, not even a quarter as much as because Lamar Jackson is so much more of and I love Joe. It's just Lamar Jackson's so unique in how he's just a man of the people, man. He's the people's champ, in my opinion. He's a guy that everyone I think in this city has found a way to relate to. I love his humility. So I think he always wanted to be here. And I don't ever remember, like, he never took his chain off. He still had his Ravens, was always, a part of him. And I think he's going to finish his career as a Ravens, Jimbo.
Yeah, I agree as well. And I'm looking forward to it. And the money. Like DK said. Yeah, man, I'm just so excited for it. Obviously, look, lots of good feelings are abounding amongst the Ravens, in the castle and amongst the Ravens, amongst the front office and with Lamar and all those things. And that's what we want. We're so glad to be talking about this and being on the other side of it. Really looking forward to see what the Ravens can do moving forward. We did get some cap relief. And so I kind of want to get into that. DK is, like I said, he's on a...
Let me just quickly point out how much I just saw it. I'm sorry, Jimbo, but I didn't want to move on without mentioning it. I love that the way he talks about his mom. It's so cool. Yeah. Like, that's his superhero. She raised him and his 3 siblings. And he's, Lamar being the oldest, got to see it as more mature than maybe his siblings were and got to see the struggle and the grind that she put through. So I just like seeing people talk about their family like that. It tells me a little bit about the person. And I think shout out to Lamar's mom for, raising such a respectful, again, still Mr. Jameson when he's talking to the media. Excuse me. He
told him he's not getting invited. Told him he's not getting any popcorn.
Yeah. He had to clear his throat. Excuse me. It's the little things he could just tell. He was just raised right. So shout out to his mom as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge, and that's awesome. A huge accomplishment for them as family. And that is always really cool to see and a great narrative as well. So yeah, big time. That was awesome and a huge family win for them. Yeah, so and I was gonna say something in regards to that, but I cannot remember now what I was gonna say.
How must it make you feel as a person that you can lift not just yourself and not just your immediate family, but generational wealth? Mm-hmm. I mean, all I want to do is take care of the family, like to do it to the degree that Lamar's doing has got to be a rewarding feeling.
Absolutely. I have some feelings about generational wealth, but we can get to those off air.
I know you want the kids to earn it. I know you, Jimbo.
That's how much my kids are getting right here. You see that?
I know, but come on.
But it's
nothing
awesome.
wrong with having a good head start in life.
No, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. But this is what I was going to say. A lot of you guys know Lamar was academically ineligible 1 year in high school. So he actually only played 3 years of high school football. And a lot of kids, I think, once they get into that situation, they, when a young kid gets discouraged or loses the way of their path, it's easy to veer off and find yourself in a situation where you're not able to get back as easily, right?
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, I think it's awesome that his mom brought it, reeled him in and said, look, man, get your eyes back on the path. Let's get this thing done. Let's get you where you need to go. And she helped light the vision for him a little bit, not a little bit, a lot. So shout out to her, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Anyway, Doug says, Jimbo and Glenn, do you see Prochet and Wallace making the team? If not, who takes their spots? And do we add more depth? Would love to bring back Houston. So I think they're both going to be fighting for spots. One thing that I thought was interesting that is we touched on this on Tuesday, Glenn, and they didn't talk about him today. Actually, John did, but not Eric and not Lamar. And a lot of people aren't, is the signing of Nelson Agholor.
Yeah.
Because Nelson Agholor is better than Tylan Wallace and better than James Prochet today. Like, Tylan is a bit unproven.
And forever.
Right, but don't you think if Tyler was a bit more, he would be on the field more, right? Like you'd assume.
Of course, well, I'm saying he'll always be better than those two.
Yes, but what I'm saying though is that James, we've seen enough of James Prochet. I don't know if we haven't seen really anything of Tylan Wallace. You know what I mean?
Right, that's fair. But I think still, he's better than both of them.
I agree. So with that being said, Doug, what my point in the first part of your question is, I think we actually have some depth and a solid 4 there that can compete with anybody in the NFL, if health isn't an issue. So that's exciting to talk about. And it'll be interesting to see what they do from a depth standpoint at that position. And yes, Glenn and I have been talking about Justin Houston. Would love to have him back. Love it.
Absolutely. I mean, I hope that they can find a way to kind of balance out his production a little bit better and hopefully keep him a little more fresh when it matters the most at the end of the season. But I'd be more than willing to welcome him back on board. But yeah, I mean, receivers, to me, it's going to come down to, like, unless there's an injury, Jimbo, there's not a lot of available spots open, like, already right now. So let me just pull up because I wanted to kind of capture this. Let's see here. Because if you look at it, Bateman and OBJ, 1, 2, depending on where you want to put them. Some people want to put Bateman as the number 1. Others say OBJ gets it day 1. Okay, whichever one. Those two are all locked up, right? Flowers is going to be your 3, right? He's going to be your 3, and you got your 4th receiver is Nelson Agholor. I don't think they keep much more than 5, maybe 6.
Mm-hmm.
And you got quite a log jam there who's going to be competing for that final spot. So I'm not so sure if either one of those guys make the team. They might both find themselves on the outside looking in. And I really think it's an uphill climb for a guy like Prochet because he's been here longer and he's had more time, like you mentioned, to show something. And he ain't shown much, Jimbo.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's going to be a climb for those guys and really interesting to see what happens. Yeah, I think that goes 6 because of the previous injuries. Ultimately, that's what ends up happening. But I think that will be the number one reason because there's got to be some trepidation, right?
Yeah.
So I think that will be interesting. But before we keep going with the conversation, he's in the chat, so I want to talk about it. Film Stop, if you guys see him in the chat, we're really excited to announce the addition. The 410 family, 410 Sports Talk family is growing. We are excited for it. New member of the team, T. Forrest. I hope you don't mind me revealing your full name. I just did. Apologies. But he's going to be joining the show on the back end. He's going to be doing a lot of our film production, all of our editing. I shouldn't say a lot. That's right. DK's getting some help. He's going to be doing some of our social media stuff. But basically, we're hoping by next week, he's going to be doing all of our curation to our videos. So every time we upload a video, it's going to be, touched by him, uploaded by him, edited by him, all those things. And we're excited about it. He's way better than we could have asked for. We could not be more excited to have him on. And of course, if he's comfortable with it at some point, we'd love to have him on the show to get his take as well. He's obviously an avid Ravens fan and a guy out there hustling to get it done as well. Here he is right here. Hey, all. LOL. I'm so honored to be here. Excited about what's to come. Let's go. Yeah, we're excited as well. Glenn, I think we've been so blessed to have people like DK, intern Brad that was with us for a stint, and now T that's going to be joining us. I think all these guys are
talented is the easy word to say.
Super talented, right?
Yeah,
and gracious, and we're just excited to have them as a part of the team. So big shout out to T. We're excited to have him, and to his 6-year-old daughter, who we were talking to him when she found out she was getting a 410 Sports Talk T-shirt in the background. We heard her yell, and that was so cool. That was just so cool, man. So that's exciting. Glenn, you stoked, man?
Oh my goodness. I mean, just the passion, the excitement. I love seeing that kind of stuff. I mean, talking to the guy, you can just see it. So yeah, excited. Of course, got to meet him in person, which was really cool at our live draft party. I know you guys who all made it out had a good time, and I know next year it's going to be even bigger. I know
I have another announcement.
Okay.
Surprise announcement. I haven't told you this, Glenn. I always do this.
Doing this, man.
I always do this. I'm sorry. But I went last night. My wife wanted some food from there. Okay. So I went there to get her some food, and Natalia, the owner, was there, and she was like, hey, I just want to say again that it was an awesome event. You guys did a great job. It was a ton of fun for us, and you guys are welcome back anytime. And so her and I agreed on two things.
Okay.
That it would be a monthly thing.
Oh.
So we'd be able to hang out once a month there. And she said, you can do more if you want. You guys are more willing. You want it to be weekly? Sure. But I said, let's start monthly. And then the other thing too, is we're going to coordinate some post-game events. So I know that there's a block party that they're going to be doing for a post-game. And then we're going to be organizing some other post-games from Ellie's. So stay tuned. It's going to be awesome. I think it's a partnership that's just beginning. So, yeah, man, really exciting.
Beautiful place.
Yeah.
Staff was amazing. Location. Yep. I mean, you're in the city. I mean, not many places are going to have live parties in the city.
Yeah.
I mean, it's with of course your favorite podcasters.
That's right.
So yeah, I mean that's really exciting. Absolutely.
Yeah, super
so shout
exciting.
out to Ellie's Tavern. Who,
that's right.
They've been amazing.
That's right. I'm gonna once we get a good foothold in there, I'm gonna have to get them to name some stuff on the menu in honor of the show. That's my next goal.
That's fine. I like it. What super chat are we on? Because I have got to get to Don.
You know what? Let's do it. Don C, go ahead. You can read it if you want.
If Numer ever asks to see Glenn's tramp stamp, I'm leaving the stream, guys.
Love this team. So glad Lamar's home. Yes.
No tramp stamp, Don.
Don, I've seen it. Stamp. It's there. 100. No, I'm totally.
You know what it is? It's a skier, and he's just about to hit the slopes in my tape. He's right at the top of the slopes. No tattoos in the tramp stamp. Got a couple, but not that one.
That's ridiculous. That'd be that would be ridiculous, dude. Could you imagine?
I saw that on I can't remember where. Somebody has that tattoo. It's probably a member of the Jackass crew or something.
That would make sense.
Marcus Orr says, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't go try and get Houston and JPP. Absolutely. I'd welcome both of them.
Right.
JPP, more of the run stuffer when he got here.
Productive, though, right?
Absolutely. Even though he's more known for his pass rush back when he was with the Giants, but became a stout run defender when he was with us. And then Justin Houston obviously had those stints where he was dominant and unblockable. So yeah, and you could likely get them for, other than the fact that they're longtime NFL vets, you could get them for relatively cheap.
And the thing I'll say, in our last show, our only concern was simply the wear and tear by the end of the year. But if you think about this, we really have two additions to the room. And you're talking about young horses, right? Because you got a Jabo. This would be his first year, like full-time head on. It wasn't there last year. And then also, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name, the kid from Ontario, Canada, that we just drafted at 6'6". Yeah, there you go. So you got another young kid in there that can take reps as well. Obviously, you already got Tyus.
Bowser's back full.
Right. Bowser's a year off. So you have so many more opportunities to put these guys in and not ask too much of them. So that way you can save them and pace them for the rest of the year. So that's exciting as well, in my opinion, because that is one of my concerns with getting, just two vets like that. But I think they balance out the room because the rest of the room is young.
Yeah.
Bowser's what, 28?
I mean, yeah, he's still a young man.
Yeah.
He's still entering the prime of his career. So Yeah, I'm excited. Now, one thing I want to bring up, Jimbo, we haven't gone over. Okay, let's see what Doug says. So, where do Mike Thomas, Tariq Black, Shamar Bridges, and Andy Isabella fit in? Do we need to add a big frame wide receiver? What are your thoughts on Charlie Kolar? What I think you pointed it out right there at the end there. A lot of the big receivers we're going to see in Baltimore are going to be playing tight end.
Yeah.
And that's okay because they're pass catchers at the end of the day. Charlie Kolar being a prime example of that. And he's the third tight end.
And he's already flashed. I mean,
exactly. You talk about a red zone threat. This guy is a basketball player who can box guys out and add another red zone threat to the already effective Mark Andrews. And now OBJ, who's always been a red zone threat. I don't care how far away he is from the end zone. So I think that their big body receiver is already on the team, and he's just playing tight end. As far as Shamar Bridges, uphill climb. Huge uphill climb for him to make this roster. Same with Andy Isabella. I think he's benefited by his return ability, but we got guys on the team. Zay Flowers. We got, obviously Devin Duvernay is an all-pro. I mean, we got return guys, and Justice Hill was phenomenal at it, and he's not going anywhere. So I think Andy Isabella, Shamar Bridges, I think they're both off the team. I mean, I just think all of a sudden it's getting to be a pretty crowded room, and I'm about to talk about an undrafted free agent that I'm super excited about out of Maryland, who is a big threat, who I think has a shot to make the roster.
I agree 100%. I don't know. You guys have probably seen that video of him torching Joey Porter. So as soon as we took that guy, the only guy that I know that follows the guy that I know that follows the Terps the closest was like, how did this kid go undrafted? I have no idea how this happened. And all he's done is flash for the most part throughout his career. So that's, I'm excited to talk about him. But before we talk about him, I want to go back to something else you mentioned, Glenn.
Okay.
And we're going to do a whole video on this wide receiver room. But that is the notion that, so you think that Zay is the 3, he starts as a 3 and stays the 3?
Well, when I say the 3, I just mean because of the fact that both the guys before him have already accomplished so much, are getting paid so much, and have
let's
already
talk about volume
themselves.
of catches. Forget like position or anything like that.
Well, by season's end, I fully expect him to be. Now, if everyone stays healthy, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see him be our second leading receiver. I still think Rashad Bateman and Lamar Jackson got something special. It's just we haven't seen a lot of it because they haven't been on the field. So certainly if there's an injury to Bateman, then Zay Flowers' numbers are going to skyrocket. And if there's an injury to OBJ, the same thing. Zay's going to skyrocket. But even if they all stay healthy, I think Zay starts eating into both their targets as the season goes on because of how explosive he is after he has the ball in his hands. So I think Todd Monken will love to. But I mean, again, the same thing can be said really for all those guys. All 3 of those guys are extremely good when it comes to yak yards. So, I mean, I think all 3 of them will be just as integral part of the offense by season's end as any of them.
Man, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I really hope these guys stay healthy. The one thing I want to mention, you heard Steve Smith clip on it right after they drafted Zay.
Oh, yeah.
I love that because he's going to be fighting for every reception. Obviously, you want to work as a team. Number one thing is team goals and team wins. I'm not saying he's going to be a me guy or anything like that. But, look, he's out there to prove himself just like everyone else, and he wants the football just like everyone else.
Yeah.
And if we draft him in the first round, our belief is that he can be a number 1 wide receiver and carry the load. But ultimately we want to pass the ball. We want to we want to balance passing attack. So we'll need multiple guys. But I'm so excited to see how that all pans out because, like you said, you got Kolar likely, and then the man's man, Mark Andrews. I mean, goodness gracious,
and the fact that they don't have guys that are only this or only that. Like the beauty about Zay Flowers is he's done just as much outside as inside.
Yeah.
And then, any doubt that Bateman could do that? Like, there's no doubt OBJ could do that. They don't have to be, all right, these are our outside guys. These are our inside. They can put them anywhere and be extremely successful. So it's going to be hell for defensive coordinators to face the Ravens. But I want to put this list up here because this is list of the undrafted free agents. Shout out to Pedro. By the way, I want to try and Jimbo, you might have to try and reach out to this guy. This guy is a great follow on Twitter. He's out of Brazil, I believe, and certainly active and an active participant on Twitter. So we might have to have this gentleman on. What's going on?
Nah, nothing. Just Portuguese is drunk Spanish, but
But I know you could stumble through. Well, he obviously
oh
speaks
yeah,
English very well, but
yeah.
I know that helps us get in when you slide in there and you can
That's
speak
right.
help speak the
Get the
language.
old silver tongue going, dude.
Exactly. But as you can see here, the Ravens were very busy in acquiring undrafted free agents. Some of these may have been on their list of draftable targets, but there's certainly some that I want to point out that I think fans are excited about. I'm personally excited about. And then there's some that I'm really just interested on how they're going to find their way on the roster. So I mentioned it earlier, Dante Demas from Maryland. I mean, you talk about a guy before so he had an injury. He had the ACL injury I think it was 2 years ago, right? And there's no doubt that's stunted his career at Maryland. But even with that, this guy, I mean, he's exciting. He's a big play threat. If you haven't pulled up highlights of Dante Demas at Maryland, you should do yourself a favor and put him on, because you talk about a guy who can high point a ball. He can be a deep threat. He can be a red zone threat. Everybody's been begging and pleading for this bigger guy. Well, he could be he could be that guy. And the fact that, he's staying in Maryland, coming to the Ravens, it's exciting. I love the Terps and I love my Ravens. So when the two can come together, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, Jimbo.
100%, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what this kid can do. But yeah, I mean, this list is just so exciting to get into, and we're really excited about it as well.
By the way, somebody suggested to me, Jimbo, that we're gonna make a T-shirt that you put on that just says 100%. Is my mother? Seeger is my mother-in-law. So you know who that is. So you can. But yeah, she said you need to get a T-shirt that just says 100%.
I'm gonna have to think of something else to say.
You got to change it up. And then this is a guy I wanted to highlight here.
I can't think about two things at once. Now I'm stuck thinking about this. No, go ahead.
100%.
I could never ride a bike and smoke a cigarette at the same time. Dude, people that do that, that's a real talent.
Well, Jimbo, you would never let a cigarette come anywhere near you.
No, but I watch people on their phone smoking a cigarette and riding a bike.
Dude, it's even crazier when you see them doing it on a motorcycle.
Talent.
Yeah, man. But Keaton Mitchell, running back out of East Carolina.
Yeah.
Ever since he was picked up by the Ravens, fans have been going absolutely crazy. They love this guy. They say, he is being drastically overlooked by NFL scouts, and the fact that he was a free agent stunned a lot of people. But Jimbo, how the heck does Keaton make the roster, or is he at best a practice squad participant?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the only way he's going to make this thing is if he shines on special teams, right? And even then, we got a guy who shines on special teams that's in his position group, that's in his room. So that's what it's got to be. I'll be interested to see. I'm thinking, I don't think that he'll be in this equation, but it'll be interesting to see if Zay takes some, how they use Duvernay back there. I mean, I'm guessing they're still he's the all-pro, but I'll be interested to see if Zay gets any catches back there as well. Bit off topic, but special teams related, being my point. So it's got to be through special teams, right? John probably values special teams more than any other coach. I think the closest coach to him would probably be Bill Belichick.
Yeah, that's fair.
Outside of that, I don't know who else values those positions as much, but that's what it's got to be, man.
Yeah, it's certainly, he's going to have to almost outperform what Justice Hill could do because of the fact that Justice Hill has already established himself as a fantastic special teamer. And on top of that, is about to go into an offense that's expected to use its running backs out of the backfield as pass catchers far, far more often than Greg Roman even dreamed. But Keaton Mitchell did run a 4.37, Jimbo. 40 time.
For a running back,
and had
not bad for a running back.
Not at all. He also had, let's see, he led all of college football running backs in explosive rushes of 15-plus yards. He had a 38-inch vertical and a 10.6 broad jump. So this is a guy who's explosive. He's a crazy athlete. He runs hard.
I like it.
So yeah, let's see what he has to say once rookie minicamp. Which, by the way, I think rookie stuff starts like this weekend.
Soon. Yeah, super soon. Now I want to go back though, Glenn. I want to go way back, like the song. Like I want to go way back. The question is there anything else because I don't want to give up on this interview yet, between Eric DeCosta's interview and Lamar's interview? Is there anything else interesting? Like, my overall question is, did the Ravens and Lamar hoodwink everyone? Was all of this a pile of nothing, or was there more substance to the drama than what it was, what it was made to be, right? I feel like after the interview today, 75% of it was media driven. Where are you at with that? Because I feel like they did a lot of hoodwinking, and they're honest. And shout out to those two men for not letting ego, pride, feelings, whatever it is, get involved in their mutual commitment to get a deal done. Both obviously highly motivated. But what do you think about that? Because I was, I'm feeling like, man, none of this stuff was real. All the past 8 months, it's just not real. What's your take?
Yeah, I think, well, it's not all media driven, right? Because Lamar Jackson did tweet out that he had a trade request.
Yeah.
And we did hear, from him confirming that, when he said, "Oh, I need an agent, but I did get 3 for 133 offered." So it wasn't 100% media driven, but it's definitely, the media likes to read into every little thing. So if there was any type of updates on social media, even if it could have been Lamar Jackson watching a television show and something shocking happened he tweeted about, anything he tweeted about was a subliminal message to and about the Ravens. So that 100%, that was media driven. But I still truly believe that there was some tough days in negotiation. There has to be when it takes this long, because there was no buffer between the two. So I'm sure there were some things that Eric said that may have been tough to hear for Lamar Jackson. And then there must have been things that Eric DeCosta heard Lamar Jackson say that might have been tough to hear. We can guess on both sides. We can talk about, Eric probably brought up the fact that Lamar Jackson wasn't able to finish the last 2 seasons and did miss 11 games in the last 2 years. And then Lamar probably pointed out and said, well, I didn't have a lot of help at wide receiver.
Yeah.
You tried, but you didn't get it.
Yeah.
So I think there was uncomfortable honesty on each side that did lead to probably some tough times. But in the end, I think both parties really wanted to get to, I think Lamar wanted to be here, and I think Eric DeCosta really wanted Lamar to be here.
I agree. The one thing I don't agree with, whether subliminally or subconsciously or not, Lamar said that the Jalen deal didn't impact him. That I don't believe. I believe that it absolutely impacted him. Whether he directly thought, oh, shoot, you know what, I need to get my deal done, or simply that it helped create a blueprint where Eric was like, all right, let me type a number, email, add this, and this, bang, bang. You know what I mean? Using that as a framework, it definitely directly impacted. And that's the one part I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. But I'll tell you what, man, it was funny. After listening to Eric DeCosta, you know what he I bet you some of those days, you remember the episode of The Office when, I don't even remember what happened. Oh, they roasted Michael.
Oh, yeah.
And he's sitting in the park with the bread on the swing, and he's like, and he's like, the birds migrated west.
Yeah.
And there was no birds.
None.
Like, he's just miserable.
Just sad.
That had to be Eric DeCosta on a few days, right?
For sure. Just sitting on a swing. There's a meme where it's what's that from that series where the famous drug dealer is just sitting on a swing by himself. Narcos or something like that. I don't know. I don't watch the shows, but that's how it had to be. There had to have been times where, he's going into Ozzy's office like, man, I don't know if we're going to be able to get this done, and Ozzy's got to kind of calm him down. He's kind of got to be the old Yoda to his Padawan there. But I think there was definitely dark times and times where the two didn't agree. But the good thing is, I don't think they have to deal with this for at least another 3 years. Mm-hmm. And let's hope that because of this deal, that the next one is a little bit, more
and Lamar
smooth.
got a no trade clause and a no tag clause,
which is huge. The tag one especially.
Yeah.
That's a big one because the tag is a valuable tool for the franchises. There's no doubt about it. That's a thing that they negotiated in the collective bargain, and it's a valuable tool. But in the end, the Ravens luckily didn't have to use it. And now, do they still have it, Jimbo? For I guess next year they could apply it to maybe. Well, we'll go down that road at a later time.
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
also
yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to get your take on this, Jimbo. Lamar Jackson was asked if he in fact did go to Eric DaCosta and say,
Oh, I
I
like this.
demand that you get Odell Beckham and I demand that you get Hopkins. Now, he answered that there were no demands made, but he did admit that he brought those guys up and said it would basically be nice, but said, no, there was no demands. Quote, that's not how you conduct business. So he didn't make an ultimatum, but he made it clear that, yes, he did bring those two guys up in conversation. What'd you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense because I think Lamar, it was in the context of his contract saying, look, if we get this done, will it make it possible to get both of these guys, right? Like you said, it was a question, not a demand.
Right.
And I like it. I think that that's important. He's got some foresight. It shows that he wants to win. That, yeah, of course he's about his money, but ultimately he wants to win and have a team around him as well. Well, the other thing we're going to do as well is get into, I think, a whole video's worth of just getting into his contract and potential flexibility down the road as well, because that's something to look at, just this year and then even moving forward, how much more flexibility the Ravens will have in comparison to the good old Brownies, right?
Mm-hmm. Who, just mortgaged everything to get, anyway, it just drives me crazy. They gave all that money to that guy. But Doug says one more guy. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I went out of order here. That DK corrected me. He slapped my hand just now. I felt it right through the screen. He was like, hey, get off of that. It's just Quan says, unique return. This system is better for rushers. Jimbo, I'll let you address a return of unique.
Oh, we talked about this, right? No,
why I want you to do it.
Yeah, no, I don't want him here because I just don't think he cares about stopping the run, period. Like, stopping the run to me is 90% effort. Like, yeah, you got to be talented. Don't get me wrong, but you just got to care about it. And I don't think Unique cares about it. That's the problem that I have. So he's an incredible pass rusher, but there's also other responsibilities at that position. And so it really depends on what you give up. So on 2nd and 8, maybe once a game he gets to the quarterback, right? But then on 5 3rd and 5s, he gives up a dump off pass that should be a routine tackle, but he's already blown past the running back, right? Or whatever it is. So what are you really getting here? I don't know. There's a reason this guy stays on the market.
That's true. You got to look at a guy who's jumped this many teams is kind of a head scratcher. But I will say this: if there was any, I'm okay with a situational pass rusher if he's phenomenal.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. If you got guys that can stack and defend against the run, but can't get it done as a pass rusher, and you got a guy who can, I'm okay with that. But yeah, I just didn't. Unique to me just didn't strike me as a guy who plays like a Raven. And because of that, I don't think John will like to bring him back. And, I think his opinion is certainly important, but I could be wrong. And I think a situational pass rusher is still very valuable. Doug says one more. Sorry, guys. Where does this kid from Clemson fit on our defensive edge covering tight ends? Pitt's got a good duo now. Yeah, Pittsburgh does. They got the guy from Georgia this year who is just an extra tackle on the field, monster at tight end. And, of course, they got Freiermuth out of Penn State a couple years back. Jimbo, I will say this, Doug. If you didn't see our interview from Tuesday, go check out John. We had John. Was it Bow?
Bow. Yeah, Blau.
John Blau come on, and he broke it down exactly. He broke it down perfectly, talking about what this guy's abilities are. But absolutely, he is the best cover linebacker in this draft. His athleticism is unbelievable. His 10 second split, his 40-yard time, his change of direction, and still put up 28 reps at 25 or 2.25. That guy is a freak of nature, and he's the perfect linebacker in today's pass-happy league, in that he can cover your tight end, he can cover your slot, he can kind of do it all from a coverage standpoint. Let's just see if he can use those instincts in the run game at this level.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see. But Doug, the encouraging part here, if you're asking about where he fits, John Blau said that his best tape was at nickel. And we talked about this, but our defense really started humming last year when Kyle Hamilton really owned that position.
Yep.
And so we're excited to see this kid do a lot of what Kyle did last year. So check out the interview. It's really encouraging and it helps you understand why the Ravens valued him where they did. Makes total sense and what their plans are for moving forward. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun to see what they do there. But I feel confident that certainly the fit is there, and the Ravens have thought about that.
No doubt. Now let's take a look at this. This is just some preliminary, results of the contract. Over the Cap, Jason from Over the Cap put this up today, and you can see Jimbo. I mean, you talk about this is another example of two things. Lamar Jackson kind of proven he doesn't need an agent. He didn't need one at all from the start. And then the other thing is that Eric DaCosta was not the type to, take advantage of his naivety in the situation and didn't come with a disrespectful, because we heard that a lot. Disrespectful offer. They're treating him like that. I mean, my goodness, you talk about respect. He got $20 million more in year one than anyone has ever gotten in the history of the league.
It's crazy.
Crazy, right? Like, I mean, this guy, signing bonus wise as well. He got $73 million when he signed that check today, or signed that contract today, Jimbo. Again, nothing, no one's gotten more. So yeah, he's not going anywhere for a long time, and he got paid very handsomely. Like Costa said, they believe he's the best quarterback, and they certainly paid him like that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and John said it, like Lamar is just so unique that it just gets you excited. It's so exciting to think about the future moving forward, knowing that this burden has been lifted off everyone's shoulders. We can just focus on football. I know Lamar's going to be here soon. He's talking about getting his iPad. Excited about the Moncton offense. There's so much to talk about, so much to get into, and of course, we're going to do it.
Hey, one last question before we go, Jimbo.
Yeah.
Right now, Rock Ya-Sin's here. With that being said, what's the new Ravens, if it is new, biggest need right now?
Yeah, edge.
Okay.
Edge. Originally, I thought inside.
So you don't think corner is on that list anymore after Rock?
No, I feel okay. Look, I've been beating the drum on Brandon Stevens. Like, I think he's okay. Yeah. I think he can be serviceable, and I think he deserves a bit more of a takeoff of a runway before we can give up on Brandon Stevens. He's young at the position and has shown he's got ball skills, shown he's physical, shown he's got athleticism. So he just needs some reps. Yeah. So I'm okay with what we got. I think the next one is edge.
Okay, fair enough. I agree. But let us know what you guys think. This is a team that's made it very clear that they're not done adding, and there's certainly which we're going to go over. I think next show there's some ways the Ravens could create more cap space. Ronnie Stanley, Marlon Humphrey, Mark Andrews, get extensions done with some of their young guys like Metabike, Devin Duvernay. They have options to get more money. The question is, who are they targeting? Because you don't just get money just to get it. You obviously would have a name or a position group in mind. So let us know what you guys think in the comments below. And, of course, let us know your comments on Lamar Jackson's presser today. Were you happy to see our QB1 back in the building? Let us know all that in the comments below. And I think we'll be back soon, right, Jimbo?
See ya. We better be.
That's right. See